Alright guys, hello. Welcome to Coding with me. We're going to be making random number generator today. So yeah, sorry if this video came out late. It's been a rough week. So you know, we'll just get started. Good news is, uh, tomorrow, the coding class tomorrow, is going to be pretty related to what we do today. So I did post my code screenshots in the coding class tab of Discord. So if you guys want to see that, then that's over there. But why don't we get started with our index.html. And what we want to put in our HTML first is we want to start with our links because we need to actually before we link stuff, we have to create all three of our files: style.css and script.js. You realistically might want to change your JS file instead of script, which is default. You want to change it to what it does, so we could do like random.js. And then the linking is just what we've done before. You have the head. Oh, you have the closing tag for the head. And then you have link rel equals style sheet src equals uh, style.css. Control click to follow that. That links over to the file. That makes sense. Oops. There we go. And script src equals script.random.js. Yep. And then we close the script. And then we save that, and that's all of our linking that we should do until later. Alright, so now we start formatting our code. Let's bring up an aw board, a whiteboard. So we kind of want to have, we can have the title here. So we have title. I mean, I'm using a mouse to draw, so oh, that's really bad. So that's the title. So that's gonna be random number generator. And then under here we want to have an input field. So just a box. And then you write stuff in there. And then you press a button. So this is from zero to X, which is what you write in your input field. And then down here you have a big button that says that's gonna randomize your number. And then you're gonna have an output. So this is gonna be it's gonna default to 0, I think. Actually, we can make it default to something else, but that's going to be pretty much all of our formatting that we should do. So now, how do we turn this into reality? Well, we can start off with a body tag, and then we need an h1, and close that h1. I'm actually going to tab this over. This needs also to be tabbed over like that. Press enter, and actually, no, we don't need to do that for h1 tags. Alright, so we can call this random number generator h1, and then we have id equals title, because that is the title of our site. Now I want the input, so we have an input, oh, input id equals input. And we also want to break that from our title, because we don't want those on the same line. Now, we actually above that want a label for our input. we want to label it how many numbers, like that, like from 0 to X, and you put your X numbers in the input field. So how to label an input is you label for the ID of your input. Oops. No. There we go. For input, and then we need to give this an ID. And we can just call this like label, and we just call this how many numbers do you want? Question mark. Close out the label tag. And we also want to break this from our title. Alright. Now we're gonna add 2 more breaks. You can also do this in CSS with formatting and dividers, which we're probably gonna focus on next time. And then we have button. There we go. ID equals random. Oh. Actually, I could just call this button on click. So our function is going to be called randomize. We haven't made it yet, but we want that to happen on when you click the button, and it's going to be called randomize. So what this will do is it'll trigger the function called randomize when you click the button. And we also need a p tag. And we're gonna label this output. And we're gonna use JavaScript to edit this output tag so that it edit the output tag so that it displays the random number. So we're gonna move on to the JS now. Didn't want to do that. All right. So that is pretty much all the HTML. So we're gonna create a function randomize, because that is what we called it in the HTML. Let input equals document dot get element by ID of input dot value. So what this does is it takes the tag, the input with the ID input, and it gets the value of it. So if we just pull up our HTML over here, it gets whatever you put inside of here. So that is the value of the input tag. Okay, if we're going to, now we have to do some checking. So what we don't want is we don't want the input field to be blank. So we're gonna actually have a check for it, because our thing is not gonna work if it's blank. So actually, why don't we just sketch this out first? We can do some sketchboarding. So awboard. All right. So we take our input, right? Our input's over here. I want to turn it into an integer. So we're just gonna call this I for input. We want to turn this into an integer. So we're gonna, but this doesn't work if so it's a string, but it doesn't work if there's any text in it. So we want to check if there's any text. So if there's text in it, then we want to come over here and we want to say text, please remove. And then if there is no text, then we want to come over here and we want to turn it into an integer. So that's going to be lowercase I as an integer input. And then we want to bring it over here. I want to say if you didn't, Actually, no, no, no. I'm doing this wrong. Uh, eraser. We want to see if it's blank first, and then to see if there's. Actually, no, no. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, we want to check if there's text first, and then we want to check if it's not a number. So if it's not a number, we want to tell it to put a number. Otherwise, it's gonna print out whatever it is, and it's gonna print out a statement. So we want to check if it's text. We want to check if it's not a number. So what not a number means is pretty much uh, if you try to set um, if you try to set any text or something uh, or any other stuff like that to a parseInt, which is pretty much turning number here. Why don't we explain this in the code? This should be easier. Oops. All right. So there's a function called parseInt. So if we excuse me, if we let input underscore integer equals parse int of input. So what this does is it takes the number, it takes whatever number you put in here, it takes that, and it sets it as input, but it's set as a string, because that's just how it is. Actually, we don't want this, yeah, we don't want that, okay. So it sets it as a string, and we want to turn the string into an integer, so we can actually do math to it. So we do this as parseInt, but if we actually put any characters in there, then it's going to set it as not a number, because you can't turn characters into a string. Or it's actually set as undefined. But they can be used, they use the same check, so it doesn't really matter. So we're gonna have an if statement, if exclamation mark input. So this is some weird logic right here. So what this is basically checking is if there's nothing in input. So if this is blank, if this doesn't return anything, if this doesn't set it as if this doesn't set input as anything, because it is blank, it won't set it as 0, or it won't set it as nothing. It'll set it as the value undefined, which means you just didn't set it as anything. So there are kind of like three types of nothingness to JS. There's not a number, which is specifically to integers, saying there's no number here. Whatever you did to set the integer didn't work, and there is no number that's being set. Undefined means you set it as nothing, and it means like you never set it as anything. And null, N-U-L-L, means you set it as nothing. So not a number means when you were doing any operations or something didn't work out, and I can't turn this into a number. So I just say not a number, pass it on to the next value or to the next part of your code. Null means you set it deliberately as nothing. And then undefined means you never set it as anything. So undefined, we didn't if there's just nothing here, and we didn't deliberately set it as null, it'll be undefined. But all these three things can be used by the check exclamation mark input, which pretty much means, if you remember from last week, exclamation mark means not, but it's just some weird JS logic where not input just means there's nothing there, whether that be not a number, null, or undefined. So we can just use that blanket check to check if input was set as nothing. And we can say if input was set as nothing, document.getElementById by ID of the output, because this is how we communicate with the user. We have to use the output. And then .inner HTML, if you remember from a long time, I think last week, we used this to modify what the text is of p tags and h1 tags of text tags, actually. So you just set that as please fill out the input field. I wonder if I spelled that right. Alright. We have to use an else statement, because if you set it as something, if you put something in the input tag, actually use an else if statement. There we go. So, actually, no, we actually can't do that. Never mind, my logic is kind of bad. Alright, so use an else statement, and then if you set it as anything, uh, just anything in total, whether that be characters, whether that be numbers, whether that be whatever, emojis you put in there, uh, we will try to parse it. We'll try to turn that into an integer. So parseInt of inputs. So we're gonna try to turn whatever this is into an integer because there's something in there. We know that because we got rid of, if there's nothing in there, then we already stopped it. We already stopped the function. If there's something there, then we will try to parse it. We'll try to turn that into an integer. We'll try the best we can. So if you put any text in there or anything that can't be turned into an integer, for example, if you put anything other than a number, it'll return not a number. It'll turn NaN, that's capital N-A-N, not a number, and I'll set that as NaN. So, we can actually check for that by saying if input underscore integer is not a number, oops, is not a number, or is not set as anything, then we will tell the user please fill out the input field with a number. We will fill out the input field with a number. We'll tell them to do that. And then if it is a number, if it has not been NaN, or if it parseInted successfully, then we will do some other logic. So we'll let the random number equal math.random. So what math.random does is it generates a random number between 0 and 1. I think it can be 0, but it cannot be 1. Or no, I think it's, no, it's exclusive, yeah. So, no, there's actually a 0% chance it'll be 0 or 1, so it's not 0 or 1. So it'll generate a random number between 0 and 1. So we don't want that because that's just, it doesn't even take any of this. It'll just give you 0, 1. There's no scaling to it. So to have scaling, we're gonna have to multiply that by input underscore int. Now we could just end here, and we could give you like a random number with like 7 decimal places, but that's kind of iffy. And also, we want this to be strictly integers. So what we have to do is we actually have to math.floor this. So what math.floor does is it automatically rounds down to the nearest whole number. So what we're doing is we're taking a random number, for example, let's say 1/3, and we're multiplying that by the input underscore integer. So that should be like 6. So we get, actually that's a bad example. 1/3 and we multiply that by 5. So we get like 5/3. And then we just round that automatically down to the nearest whole number. So that'll be 3/3, which is 1. But if you get like 2/3, then you multiply that by 5, so you get 10/3, and you round that down to the nearest whole number, which is 9/3, which is 3. So that's how basically the logic works. And you could do that with any decimal. Like we could get really wacky decimals like 0.12465. Let me pull up my calculator. 0.12465 times 5 is 0.62325, and then we round that down to the nearest whole number, which is 0. Uh, and then we also have to print this out. So, or we have to set this as output. Oops, caps lock. Document dot get element by ID. Output dot dot inner HTML is equal to random number plus 1. Because we don't want it to be 0. We want it to be, so basically, as I previously stated, math.random is exclusive, which means it will never be 0 and it will never be 1. So that means that poses a problem, because the way we formatted this is we want to go from 1 to the x, whatever you put in the input field. So if you put 5 in the input field, we want to generate a random number between 1 and 5. But we can't do that. We're actually generating a random number between 0 and 4 with this, because if you get like 0.0011 and you multiply that by 5, and then you round down, that's gonna give you 0. And then if you get you can't get 5, because in order to get 5, you'd have to have math.random output 1 or greater, which is never going to do. So what we could do after that is we could just add 1 to the output over whatever you got. Excuse me. And then that should work. Alright, so let's see how this works out. Okay, let me reload the page. 5. And it's not working. Why is it not working? Well, we can look at inspect element to see. Okay. So it does not like that I am setting something as random number. Let's actually pull up our equals random number plus 1. Cannot set property inner HTML of null. Why is it null? Let's see. Function randomize. I probably just spelled something wrong somewhere. Else let input underscore n equals parse int of input. If input underscore int. Alright. Did I spell something wrong over here? Oh, outputs. Alright, we can't have that. Yeah, so pretty much what happened is I accidentally put an S at the end of here, at the end of this ID, and then I didn't put it over here. So now it's trying to set the text of something that doesn't exist. So if we just edit that, reload the page, we have to make sure everything's saved. Yep, it is. And we put 5 over here, click randomize, and we're getting random numbers. That is good. Alright, now I gotta do the CSS. So, why don't we get a new color scheme? Because we did one in class, but I wanna get a new one. So, what we can do is we can do a coolers.co, and we can just keep clicking spacebar until we get a good dark color you want to start off with a dark color. That's your background. You can have a white background too, but I usually like black ones. I want to go for a bluish color. That could be good. I think that's a bit too green. Ooh, actually, I want this. 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 These are all good pastel colors. Yes. Well, I guess we could go for a white background. Probably not gonna use all these, but I just wanna have them there so that. Ooh, this is good. Yes. All right, so this is our background color. So we're gonna actually set body to this. I have to put a hashtag because it's a hex code. And if we just come over here, reload the page. Oops, did not save the document. Oh wait. Uh, let's see what's happening because the background color is not changing. Probably spelled something wrong though, linking. This is debugging, guys. Oh, it's not SRC, it's href, yes. Because in link tags, it's href, not SRC. And reload that, and there we go. Uh, so our text, I need an eggshell color, or just a nice white. Is that good? That's good. Copy the hex code, and we do, this wants the H1, P, to all be white. So yeah, you can use this, excuse me, you can use this comma format to specify multiple things at once. So for example, you want to specify the H1 tag and the P tag. You want to target both of them, and you can see they are all white. Oh, we also need label, yes. So this will save on space in your CSS if you just want to set like colors to multiple things at once. All right. So now we get into the input tag styling. You can use the ID. This is good coding practice for CSS. Always use the IDs. Unless you want to like globally change something for a thing. Like if you want to change a font, then maybe you want to use a class instead of an ID. Let's see. So what we want to do is we want I'm having a brain fart right here. Yes, we want background color to be the same color as our background. You'll see why in a second. And then we need border to none. So what this does is it gets rid of, oop, I think it already happened, but yeah, it gets rid of this thing, the border. I think it's like there used to be like a little grayish thing over here. I'm not sure if it is here anymore. They might have changed it. I'm not sure. They might have changed the defaults for Chrome. I don't know what happens anymore in these web browsers. We want border dash bottom to be one of these colors. I think I like this one. Do I also like this one? I think I like this one better. It's not gonna look good together, I think, but well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And you see, I did not do correct formatting. It should be 2px solid, 2 pixels, 2px solid. So yeah. So what this does is it says I want the bottom of the border to be 2 pixels wide. I want it to be solid, so it's not dashed. And I also want it to be this color. And pretty much what this does is it creates like a little line for you to type on. And it's so we also want the color of this to be, oops. People are sending laughing emojis in my chat, which is very interesting. We want the color of the text to be this white. Actually, could just do that, I think. Yep, that works. Oops, yeah. Alright, now we need button styling. So, we actually want the text inside the button to be white as well. So, we're just gonna put that there. We're also gonna have a specific styling for a button. So, border colon none, padding colon 15 px 32 px. So 15 pixels, 32 pixels. You want the text to be in the center, so text dash align center. We want that this doesn't really matter, but it is good for when you have multiple items within a divider and you want to have a certain display to them. You want to have them formatted a certain way. Font 20 pixels should do. And that should be it. And we also need a background color, yes. This is it. Alright, so now our button is big and it is also greenish. I actually want a black color for that. Alright. Yep, that works. Okay, so that's basically all the CSS. We just need a font. My go-to font is Railway because I like it. So I always go Light 300, embed. Put that there. Put this here. Put this here. And we also need to do one more thing. We need to add an animation. So how we do animations is we use this thing called keyframes. It's like using functions in JS but in CSS. So keyframes, at keyframes is how we say, hey, I want to create an animation. Call it breathing. Oh, breathing. And just like a function, we use parentheses or the curly brackets. Alright, so how we do this is when the function is at 0%, we want to transform colon scale 1. So what this will do is it'll set the size of whatever we're applying this to its original size. So we're not doing anything to it right now. We can copy paste this. I wouldn't recommend doing this in real coding, but we're running out of time, so we're gonna have to rush things. So at 25%, the scale is 1.1. That means that it'll get 10% bigger. At 50%, done with the function, it'll be 0.9. So it'll be 10% smaller than the original. 75% will be 1.1 and 100%. So when it's all done, it'll come back around to 0. And we just want to apply this to our button, but we want to do it when we're hovering. So we do hashtag button colon. So colon means it's a conditional, whether it'll only execute, it'll only run whatever is below whatever you put in the curly brackets when this certain condition is met. Oh, actually, we need to do some so yeah. So button colon, we want this to do it when we're hovering or when we're focusing. So what this does is, what focusing is When people who might have like some disability where they can't use their mouse, they want to select other things. So you can use tab, right? You can use tab to cycle through elements, which you can trigger, or shift tab to go backwards. So when I tab onto this input tag, you see how it's like there's a white box surrounding it. That's the outline, and this also happens when you click on it. So that's called focusing. When you're focusing on an item, this happens. So basically, why you want this outline is this reason. If you don't have this outline, you can't tell when you're focusing onto something. So that's really bad for anyone who has like a disability or they just can't use their mouse. They don't have a mouse, so they just tab through stuff. Uh, so yeah, it's just good coding ethic to do this. So we want to run the keyframe breathing when we're hovering over the button. So how we do this is an animation colon. We want the name to be breathing, duration to be 7 seconds. The function is ease out. There is no delay. It's infinite and normal. There we go. So there's nothing fancy going on here. It runs forever when you're holding onto it. The animation name is breathing, so that's why I put that there. It's running for 7 seconds, and ease out just means it's gonna gradually transition. When it ends, it's gonna gradually transition from the ending place. Ooh, that should actually be 1. It's gonna gradually transition from where it ended to its original. So, but it's the same, so it doesn't really matter. But now if we reload the page, when we hover, oops, we need to, oh, we DM'd a lot. We need to reload the page, and you see when we hover over it. Actually, only when we focus it. That is weird. Yes. Yes. We actually need to do that. Have a comma. There we go. So pretty much what we were doing before is we're saying when you hover on it and you focus on it. So we don't want that. We just want it as an or statement. So if you focus or you hover. So we need a comma there. And you see now it gets bigger and then it gets smaller and it gets bigger and it gets smaller. And there it is. So yeah, this is the stuff. See you